In this tutorial, we're looking at prime factors, highest common factor and lowest common multiple. So let's just break this down. Product in maths means to multiply. The prime refers to prime numbers. Now, prime numbers are those that can only be divided by themselves and 1. A lot of people have a misconception about prime numbers in terms of that they are just odd numbers, but that is not the case, so be very careful. And the factors are numbers that can be divided into that particular number. So the highest common factor of values is going to typically be lower or the same as both of those numbers, whereas the lowest common multiple is either going to be greater than the numbers or the same as. So when we refer to highest common factor or lowest common multiple, you are looking at those that are common to at least 2 other values. So let's look at some exam style questions to put this into practice. Our first question is a wordy question that may not look like a lowest common multiple question at first, but in fact we are using the theory of lowest common multiples to work this out. There are a couple of ways to do this. Buses to Acton leave the bus station every 24 minutes. And buses to Barton leave the same bus station every 20 minutes. They both leave at 9 AM. When will a bus to Acton and a bus to Barton next leave the bus station at the same time? So I have seen students go through the time and go 9:24, 9:48, etc., etc. 9:20, 9:40, etc., etc. and list out the times until they then see the time that's the same for both. What we're really looking for is the lowest common multiple of 24 and 20. So you could go through the 24 times table and the 20 times table and see which one has the lowest common multiple, or we can use our prime factor trees. So this will involve us looking at the factors of 24. So we could do 12 times 2. 2 is a prime number, so we're going to circle it. 12 is not prime, so we're going to continue our branches. 6 times 2. 6 is not prime, it's 3 times 2. Now we've got the prime factors. Repeat this for 20, so that's 4 times 5. 5 is prime, and then 4 is 2 times 2. Next, to find the lowest common multiple, we're going to put these into our Venn diagrams, where one circle will represent 24 and the other will represent 20. In the overlap, we put what they both have in common. So they both have a 2 and they both have another 2 in common. Then we've got a 3 and a 2 left over for 24 and a 5 left over for 20. Using our Venn diagram to find the lowest common multiple, we multiply all of these values together. So 3 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 24, because they're all in the 24 circle. So that's 24 times 5, which is 120. In context of this question, that means every 120 minutes the bus leaves at the same time. Because this is time, that's every 2 hours. So that's 9 AM plus 2 hours. So they'll next leave at 11 AM. So next is just a question that says express 180 as a product of its prime factors. So we use our prime factor tree. So we go through the factors, that's 18 times 10. You can pick any factors that multiply to give 180, neither of which are prime, so we go through again, circle any primes, and we keep going until we're only left with prime numbers. To write this as a product of its prime factors, that literally means to write all of the prime numbers multiplied by each other. They don't have to be in order, that's just habit. If they wanted this in index notation, we would say 2 times 2 is 2 squared, 3 times 3 is 3 squared, times 5. So either of these answers would be sufficient for the 3 marks. Next up, we have find the highest common factor of 72 and 90. So we're going to use our prime factor tree method. So 90 is 45 times 2. 45 is 5 multiplied by 9, where 5 is prime, 9 is 3 times 3. So we've just left with our prime numbers. 72 is in the 9 times table, that's 8 times 9, neither of which are prime, so we go 3 times 3 for 9, and 8 is 4 times 2, 4 is 2 times 2. Now we use our Venn diagram method, where one circle is 72 and the other is 90. In the overlap we put anything they have in common, so they have at least 1 2 in common. They have got 2 3s in common. Then 72 we're left over with 2 2s, and 90 we're left over with a 5. To find the highest common factor, this time what we do is, instead of looking at all the numbers multiplied together, the highest common factor is the numbers in the overlap multiplied together. So that's 2 times 3 times 3. So 2 times 3 is 6, times by 3 is 18. So that is the highest common factor of 72 and 90. One final question is where we're not actually given the values, but we are given the values in index notation. So we can still use our Venn diagram method, where one circle represents A and the other represents B. In the overlap we put in anything that they have in common. So both A and B have at least 1 3. That leaves A with 4 other 3s. And then they both have at least 3 7s in common, because 7 to the power of 3 is 7 times 7 times 7. Now B has got 2 cubed and 1 7, and then that is a 5 left over in A. So highest common factor is always the overlap times together. So that's 7 cubed multiplied by 3, of which we can use our calculator. So 7 cubed multiplied by 3, that's 1029. Now the lowest common multiple is you multiply everything that appears in your circles together. So that is 3 to the power of 4 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 7 to the power of 3 multiplied by 2 cubed multiplied by 7, giving us a very, very large number. And that's our final answer.